Okay, here's example 3.5. We actually started this in class, and this was the random walk. So you started here, and you could either go to the right 1 unit or up 1 unit, but you did that total of 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the question was, where would you end up with what probability? And again, going to the right had P, and going up was Q, which was equal to 1 minus P for your probabilities. And we ended up with probability mass function, f of x and y was equal to, and we had six possibilities, I guess. P to the fifth, 5 times P to the fourth times Q, 10 times P to the third times Q squared, 10 times P squared times Q cubed, 5 times P Q to the fourth, and Q to the fifth. And this was, in this first case, x was 5, y was 0, here was 4, 1, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 4, and 0, 5. Okay, so that was the joint distribution. And now we could talk about the marginal distribution. We could look at, say, f(x) of x, and again, that's just the sum over all the y's. So it's the sum over y's of f and x, y. And so more in particular, that would be the sum j equals 0 to 5 of f of x, comma, j. Okay. And let's see, so for any given x, we can do this. And so, for instance, suppose I want fx of 0, that would be the sum j equals 0 to 5 of f of 0 j, which actually, you know, we get 0 for the first 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get the f(0, 5), which is q to the fifth. And that's right there, right up here. And so this ends up being q to the fifth. And similarly, we could do fx at 1. And this is the sum j equals 0 to 5 of f of 1 and j, which again, 1, 0, f of 1, 0 is 0, f of 1, 1 is 0, f of 1, 2 is 0, f of 1, 3 is 0. F of Oh, I left a 0 off of here. I thought I was ready for a number, but that's how many I had up here. So this was actually a 0 here plus all that. Now here we get our plus q to the fourth p, or p q to the fourth. And then for j equals 5, we get 0 again. So this just ends up being p q to the fourth. And if we keep this up, we see that actually we just get this list up here in reverse order. And so fx of x is equal to q to the fifth, p q to the fourth, p squared q cubed, p cubed q squared, p to the fourth q, and p to the fifth for those cases. So here x was equal to 0, then x is equal to 1, x is equal to 2, x is equal to 3, x is equal to 4, and x is equal to 5. Now we can, oops, I forgot my constants there, didn't I? This should have been a 5. So 5, 10, 10, 5. Sorry about that. So 5 q to the fourth p there. And oops, need my 5 there. Okay. So that just swapped it around. Now similarly, I could do fy of y. That's the sum over all the x's of f of x and y. And so to do that, I would sum I equals 0 to 5 of f of I y. And so once again, if I take, say, fy of 0, that's the sum I equals 0 to 5 of f I and 0. And once again, f of 0, 0 is 0. F of 1, 0 is 0. 2, 0. 3, 0 is 0. 4, 0 is 0. But then 5, 0 is p to the fifth. And so we just get p to the fifth here. And similarly, we'll just get a repeat of what we had for f of x and y. So it's interesting here that if we write down our fy of y, we get, and I'll finish this on this next page here, we get p to the fifth, 5p to the fourth q, 10 p cubed q squared, and this would be y equals 0. This would be y equals 1, y equals 2, 10 p squared q cubed, y equals 3, 5 p q to the fourth, y equals 4, and p q to the fifth, y equals 5. Okay, so it looks, you know, the values, these values here, are the same as the joint distribution f of x, y, but it does differ just in that this would be fy of y only. The only thing that's changing here are the y values. Okay. And so then they look at the cumulative function. So they have the marginal ones, and then in this example they go through and they do a picture of f. Okay, so if we look at f of x and y, this would be the cumulative thing. So this is the sum over I equals 0 to 5. Oh, well, sorry, 0 to x. And j equals 0 to y of f of ij. So as we look at that, then what happens for some of these. So for instance, suppose I wanted f of 0, 3, then that would be the sum I equals 0 to 0, j equals 0 to 3 of f of ij, and so that would be f of 0, 0 plus f of 0, 1 plus f of 0, 2. Okay, so we have that, and notice that, well, that one's 0, that one's 0, that one's 0. Right? And if you don't look at this first f here, it looks kind of like a ghost or somebody is going ooh or boo or something. Just thought I'd point that out. Okay, so we get 0 for that one. Now, on the other hand, if I do something like f of 5, 3, this is the sum I equals 0 to 5, and the sum j equals 0 to 3 of our f of ij. And so that is f of 0, 0, plus f of 0, 1, plus f of 0, 2, plus f of 0, 3. Did I do, oh, I forgot my 3 up here. I wish you all could yell at me through the video, but you can't. But that was also still 0. Now, so all of those are going to be 0, but then we go to plus, and I'll just start a new line here. F at 1, 0, plus f at 1, 1, plus f at 1, 2, plus f at 1, 3. Now these are all, so far these are all 0. Equals, no, sorry, I'm still adding, plus f of 2, 0. Okay, now we do in this case get to f of 2, 3, which is not 0. Okay, so this is that one we've got, not 0, and then plus we'll have f of 3, 0. Well, that's 0. But we will get to f of 3, 2. and we'll also have f of 3, 3. But that's 0, that's 0, but that one's not 0. And we'll have, similarly, we'll have a bunch of 0 things, but we'll get f of 4, 1 in here, and we'll get f of 5, 0 in there. Everything else is going to be 0, but these are not. And so what we see is that we get this is equal to, in the end, f at 2, 3 plus f at 3, 2 plus f at 4, 1 plus f at 5, 0. And so that's a 10 p squared q cubed plus 10 p cubed q squared plus 5 p to the 4th q plus p to the 5th. Okay, so they give a nice picture of all this in this example, that and they actually have numbers on them, but we could just draw it without the numbers. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 and 0, of course. And we'll have that be x. And then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's y. And what we see is that at these spots, let's see, 3, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, those are all 0. That's 0. That one's 0. So at all these spots, you get 0. And so forth. Okay. But when I get to these spots, so let me just, there's a spot, there's a spot, there's a spot, there, 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 there. Okay. Slowly but surely, we fill these in. And so what we saw was here, this, we just get our, oops, not Q, sorry, P. Okay, here we get p to the 5th, and then here we got our p to the 4th q times 5, and we got 10 p cubed q squared like that, and 10 p squared q cubed. But then, you know, what happened here was this was our p to the 5th plus 5p to the 4th q. And so let's see, here is 5, well, what order? Yeah, 5 p to the 4th q plus 10 p cubed q squared. And in that summation, what you're going to see is that, you know, if we just take the dots next to but below these things, add them together to get our cumulative. And so let's see. Yeah, I'm looking at something here. I'm going to pause it for a minute. Okay, so I wanted to write down what we got in hours, and from that, it's kind of hard to see in this small thing. I guess I can make this a little bigger. By making this bigger, we can maybe write down what's going on here a little better. So here again, to get these spots, I'm just taking the edges that we knew and adding these, for instance, this one and this one together to make that one. Now, though, what happens here, for instance, so here I did that, but what happens here, is it that we take that one and that one and add up together? Well, actually, no, that's not what ends up happening. To get any one of these that are farther inside, you do take this previous vertical one, right? So I take that and then add to it not the amount here next to it, but the amount from all the way over to the left, and I add that, and you see if I do that, I'll get my p to the 5th plus 5p to the 4th q plus 10p cubed q squared. And then, if I take that and put it up here, then I would take the thing all the way from the left to get to that. And I do that for all of these. So if I want to get here, I take my answer that was here and I go all the way from the left here to get that answer. And, so on top, we will finally get all of these put together, which is 1. And going across the top, we take our amount. Again, you can think of it as, so here I would start with my q to the 5th, and then these two would add, and then if I added this one and that one, I can get that. And so that's one way to look at the pattern as to what's going on, and it comes from our summation. A lot of these things are 0. So okay, so it gets very crowded in there, but we see that the cumulative distribution is 0 down here, but then has these various values up in the top, and we can calculate them simply by going through these summations, and or we could catalog all these and have the formulas ready to just evaluate. Okay, and so I believe that is example 5.